Minasan, welcome to my brief presentation on avenues to Japanese language study and motivation. Plan the work and work the plan. We're going to explore a few concepts in language education and look at some of my favorite sites for studying without a dedicated instructor, which is probably the situation most of you find yourself in today. The majority of Japanese language learners begin as self-study students, so I want to make sure that you are taking a moment to plan your own course of action. So I know you're motivated because you're here, but you may also have some questions, such as which books? What app? Where do I start? And do I really need to learn kanji? So we're going to take a look at all of these questions today. First, you should know that there are many different methodologies for language teaching and learning. The longest used one has been the grammar translation method, and many self-study students have used this method because you can do it alone. Then there's the audiolingual method, and this is just about listening and speaking comprehension. It was really popular in the 1950s through the 1980s, and although this is the book that I used in college, I don't recommend it for self-study students. And then these are the most common ones that we find in the classroom today, and they are task-based lessons that were designed in the mid-1990s. But my favorite methodology is called the communicative language learning method, or communicative language teaching method. And here we're focusing on our interactions, that's our goal, and we use authentic texts on a range of topics, and we encourage our learners to focus on personal experiences and how to share those. So this is the series that I use. It's called Marugoto, and it's by the Japan Foundation, completely based on the communicative language methodology, and we're going to be talking about this in a little bit. But before we jump into my recommendations, let's look at what you're going to need for your own self-study plan. Okay, so it's good to know kind of what exactly are you doing as a language learner if you've never done this before, or if you had language classes in high school. So there are three modes of communication. There's interpretive, and this is kind of figuring out what's being said. There's presentational mode, and this is one-way communication. And there's interpersonal mode, which is two-way communication. You might know these better as the 4 skills. For example, interpretive means listening, reading, and viewing. These are all receptive skills, still language that is coming in that we have to figure out whether we're just watching it, reading it, or listening to it. Presentational skills, these are prepared one-way communications to an audience, such as when you're giving a speech, or if you're writing something that you can review and revise before you actually give it or present it. And then for interpersonal skills, we have spontaneous communications, right? This is a two-way communication. Okay, this is interacting with somebody, listening and speaking, or reading and writing. For example, a conversation or a chat that you're having with someone online. So where do I start? Well, you're going to need a textbook and some way to practice writing. We want to develop a learner community around us, and I highly recommend developing a portfolio. We'll talk about more on this at the end. Okay, let's start with the textbook. My favorite textbook is Marugoto. It's available for free from the Japan Foundation. Now you can purchase a digital copy or a printed copy from Amazon or another bookseller, but this is the online version, and I highly recommend that. In fact, this is the one that I use in my own classes that I teach. And here's the website off to the side. It's minato-jf.jp. You simply make an account on this page. Okay, this is what it's going to look like, and you're going to start a new account. They'll send you your link and you log back in. So when you log back in, you'll have the chance to scroll down and you'll find all of these courses available to you. Majority of them are going to be a variety of levels of Marugoto. They'll be listed as A1-1, A1-2, A2-1, A2-3. Okay, they're just different levels of the program. You'll also notice there are two types of each one. There's Katsudo and Rikai. Katsudo is just listening, but the Katsudo and Rikai combines the conversation with the comprehension. So Rikai is focusing more on grammar and vocabulary and kanji. So if you want to just work on listening, Katsudo, but if you want a whole encompassing package, choose the Katsudo and Rikai option. You'll also be able to find courses here on hiragana, katakana, kanji, and something called hirugaru, which is working on your intercultural comprehension. So you're now into Minato and you're getting ready to choose your course, but which level are you? A1 and A2, B1, B2, these are all from the European categorization of language. Most of those used in America are called novice low, novice high, intermediate mid, so it's a little bit different terminology. But essentially, an A1 level, A1-1, is for a true novice. This is somebody who doesn't understand hiragana or katakana, has never even experienced it before. You're going to choose the A1-1. If you've got some understanding of how hiragana, katakana works, and maybe you've been studying on your own for a little bit, you can try the A1-2. If it's too much, pull back, take the lower level. It's free, so go ahead and try it. If you've been studying Japanese for a while now and you understand past tense and present tense, and you can even do the te form, then you might want to try the A2 levels, which is going to be an upper beginning level. Not quite an intermediate level, but you're getting there. There are 4 courses for that. All right. So, how are we going to know what we're studying? Well, in each course, or at the beginning of each unit online, you'll find the can-do lists. This is telling you what your goals are for each chapter and what you should be able to do by the time you finish that lesson. Pay attention to these. They are going to help you, so you make sure that you are staying on track. Also, if there's something specifically that you're looking for, you can jump to that course as well. Okay. One reason I prefer the online version to the paper version or the digital version of this textbook is because it's gamified. It is a lot of fun to play this online, and all the audio is already there. There's videos, there's audio, there's games to play, keyboarding practice, and everything is collected for your portfolio that I'll explain at the end. It is all-encompassing. It's the best way. I really feel that. So another reason, this is on a desktop. There's some research that shows the difference between learning on a desktop versus a mobile device. So this version can only be viewed on a laptop. You might be able to get it to work on an iPad or another tablet. Personally, I haven't tried it. But I've used it on my laptops that I have and my notebooks, and it's a wonderful experience. Okay, but there is something for a mobile device. So the website for this is called marugotoweb.jp. marugotoweb.jp. This is also free. This is the mobile app version of the textbook. So it's kind of like your tutor that's coming along with you. You will be able to find audio and video, as well as quizzes if you want to quiz yourself, vocabulary exercises as well. The one in the lower right corner, Marugoto no Kotoba, This one is for creating word lists. And if you want to create a word list so you can make your own flashcards, or if you want to use their flashcard system and send it out and print it on your home printer, you can do that here. It's very cool. I really like how there are two different ways of using it, right? We've got the desktop version where I'm sitting down and I'm studying, and then I've got something on my phone in case I want to study something real quick because I've got some extra time on my hands. Okay, but let's talk about literacy. Many times we start studying Japanese and we get a little stuck and we're maybe a little scared because we don't read everything, we don't understand everything. And in the communicative language method, that's okay. There are going to be things out there that we don't understand yet, and we're going to explore it anyway. Okay? So in order to become a writer, you should be a reader. So be a reader to become a writer. Look at things in Japanese that you are interested in. If you want to know about cooking in Japanese, watch cooking shows, follow cooking blogs, explore the internet, right? Everything is so much closer to you than it was when I was a student studying Japanese a long time ago. Okay? This stuff is available at your fingertips. I'm a little jealous. Okay? And use your skills that you have in English as well. Right? If you're looking at something, look at the headings, look at the images, look at the graphics. Do the images have subtitles? Use all of these skills that you've developed for reading complicated things in English for reading Japanese. The same skills apply. Okay? If you really want something to read, I recommend these graded readers. It's at tadoku.org. Okay, tadoku.org/Japanese/en/free-books-en. Okay? Tadoku.org, Japanese/en/free-books-en. It's right here. These are free graded readers. So you can read the book, you can listen to the book, you can make comments on the book with other people around the world who are also reading it. And it has many levels. So you can find something that you can do now, maybe something you want to be able to get to soon. But keep in mind, these are graded readers, so they are not authentic documents, but they're there to help you practice. Okay? So when you are out in the real world, you're out there and you're looking at these authentic documents, we do have things that you can use for support. Okay? My favorite one, and I use this daily, is called Rikai-chan or Rikai-kun. It depends on if you're using a Mac or a PC. Okay? This is a tool for your browser. You can find it, like if you're using Google Chrome, you would go to the Chrome web store and select Rikai-chan or Rikai-kun for your computer. And what's wonderful about this is that you use your cursor and you hover over a word that you don't understand, and it will display the pronunciation of the word and the definition of the word. It will also give you some other variations of how that word might be used. Another tool that I use is called Weblio. And Weblio is similar to Google Translate, but not really. Okay. So with Weblio, you can look up a single word, such as that small search box up at the top, or you can put in a phrase or a longer sentence. Here I have one that says, I love anime. And you can see that there is a computer-generated translation next to it, right, in the gray box. But what I love about Weblio is that it has a corpora. A corpora is a database of actual language. And linguists use this in their research, but those of us who are studying languages, we can use this too. So Weblio links your phrase to a corpora. I think it's the Tanaka corpora. There's others as well. And pulls out similar phrases that are actually found in the actual language spoken and written, so that you can learn how to express yourself in a more natural way. Okay? And another thing that I recommend is News Web Easy. I see that I'm covering up part of it with my video, but if you do a search for News Web Easy, you'll find this site. And this is actually by NHK, which is one of the leading broadcasters in Japan. And they will take the main news of the day and they provide it in what's called Yasashii Nihongo, or easy Japanese. Now, it's not easy because it's simple, but they have made it probably about an N3 level, N3, N2 level Japanese, so that non-native speakers who may not speak English can acquire the information. There's a long story about this, and I'm very excited about Yasashii Nihongo. It has to do with earthquakes and getting emergency information out to people. But we can use it too as language learners. What I like about NewsWeb Easy is that they have color-coded names of people, names of places, names of corporations. Those are the hardest ones to discern when you're reading something, because you see a whole string of kanji and no idea what that is. But it's color-coded. Another thing I like about NewsWeb Easy is it provides the audio version of that article. You can also select to have the furigana, that's the pronunciation written above the kanji, or you can remove it. And you can also link to the actual article. So after you read this one, maybe you want to see what would the original look like, you can link to that as well. So these are all three really great tools for using to build your literacy skills. Okay. Well, as you're learning to write, which one is better? Okay, should I learn to read and write only with paper, or should I use a keyboard? Some people feel very strongly one way or the other. And my opinion is both. Okay, it is good to practice writing by hand, but it is also very good to develop these keyboarding skills. The majority of people are communicating in Japanese using a keyboard, not handwritten letters anymore. So also the majority of things that you're going to be reading are going to be online. So having both skills is important. If I had to say which one I prefer more, I'm going to lean towards the keyboard. But you should still practice writing. I enjoy it. Developing a learner community is essential. And we call this a learner ecology or a language ecology. You want to make sure that you are interacting with people around you who have fewer skills than you, so you can help lift them up by teaching them what you know. You want to develop a peer group, people who have similar skills to you, so you can help each other. And you want to develop those who have higher skills than you, so they can tutor you and build you up as well. Then you also want to look at who is your immediate ecology, who are the immediate people within your vicinity. If you are able to interact with people face to face, or at least using technology, that's great. And then looking at people who are maybe further out from you that you interact with online. So where can we find these learner communities? Here in Kansas City, there is an organization called Niji Kaiwa, and I don't have it written up here, but you can find them on Facebook, Niji Kaiwa, and they will let you know where they're meeting. I think right now they're meeting online. If you have some language skills, you are invited to attend. They are not set up as teachers of the language. They are just practicing the language so they don't lose their skills as well. It's been around about 40 years in Kansas City. So other places where you can find these learner communities. Social media, that's a great place to develop friends and community. Blogs and vlogs. Look for things online, for YouTube, podcasts. All these are great ways to develop community. Now, you might not be interacting with those people, but you can interact with others in the comment section. Okay? Look for language exchanges. There are a lot of language exchanges on Facebook where people are learning Japanese, but they speak English, or they're learning English, but they speak Japanese, and they help each other out. So you can post a question, how do you say this in Japanese, or I'm trying to figure out how this translates, can you help me? And you'll get assistance from people around the world. Another thing that I like is online gaming. If you are an online gamer, you are highly encouraged to interact with people in other languages online. In fact, this is a big research section now in language learning with World of Warcraft and how to study foreign languages while you're playing World of Warcraft. It's a fascinating research. I don't play World of Warcraft, but if you are an online gamer, experience those interactions in a foreign language. It is okay if you make a mistake. It is okay if you don't know what you're doing. People are going to help you out. And you have all these other tools that can help you, and it's a great way to practice what you are learning. Maybe keep a journal of words that you've heard said, or when something's said, if certain actions were made, keep a log of that. Many of my students actually play a variety of online games, and they say this is their favorite way to practice Japanese. Okay, finally, we're going to talk about a language portfolio. And this is something that I really appreciate my students creating, because it can help track where they're starting and where they're currently at. Sometimes when you're in the middle of Japanese, because Japanese is a Category 5 language, which means it's considered one of the most difficult languages for an English speaker to learn, we sometimes get lost and feeling like we are not making any progress, when really it just takes us 4 times as long as Spanish to master. Okay? And that is because of the grammar, which is almost the reverse and turned around inside out version of English. Basically, it's like Yoda. But then we also have honorific speaking, and we have distal and direct speaking, and we've got kanji. We've got a lot going on. Be nice to yourself. Okay? So keeping this portfolio will help you track how you are progressing as a language learner. Okay? So a typical language portfolio has 3 parts to it. A passport, which says what you are right now. A biography section, which kind of says what your experiences have been. Okay, if you are a blogger and write blogs, you might put your blogs here that are in English that talk about what you're experiencing. Okay, and the 3rd section is called the dossier, and the dossier is where we have artifacts that you've created in Japanese, whether they're audio, video, written, drawn, however it turns out. This is where you post those so you can see the progression of your work getting better and better. Now, there are many ways to do a portfolio. Where I teach at the Kansas City Art Institute, I have my students using Google Sites, and I provide them a template, which is how I want them to submit their work to me at the end of the semester. But there are other ways that you can do this too. You can use a blog, simply a blog, and post your work on your blog as you go. And then every now and then go back through it, and you can see how well you've done. Of course, you can keep it in a regular diary or a journal as well. There's Google Sites, which is what I use, or you can use other programs as well. The University of Oregon has something called LinguaFolio, and LinguaFolio is a way to put it on like your cell phone. You can take your documents around with you. But you can also do a search for an e-language portfolio, or an e-folio, or a language portfolio, and look for an organization called CEFR, C-E-F-R. They have a variety of language portfolios that people have used around the world for a variety of different languages, and you can get some ideas from that. The key is to keep track of it, just as if you were an artist and you're collecting your proof of your skills and abilities. With this language portfolio, you're going to be doing the same thing. Okay, so let's review our self-study plan. We need to choose a textbook that is communicative language based. This is going to be the one that's going to help you reach your goals further and faster. Select some apps that support your textbook. I showed you some that I like, but there are so many out there that as long as you feel comfortable and you feel that it is supporting the textbook that you've chosen, it's a good one. Practice reading with graded readers. We want to go out there and explore the internet, but sometimes we need to practice too, and these graded readers will take you step by step to more and more difficult levels of language. Explore the internet and use the tools. The world is your oyster on the internet. You can discover so many things written in the Japanese language. And use these tools to help you explore more things that you're interested in. Join a learner community. These are often on Facebook, but you can find them with Twitter, on blogs, other organizations that you can join. And finally, make sure you collect your language products and experiences as you go. It's important with a language it takes so long to master. It's important that we keep this collection so that we can look back and see our progress and know that you are making headway in this, even if it feels really slow at times. You can do this. All right. So if you would have any other information or questions and you'd like to contact me, I teach Japanese at the Kansas City Art Institute, and I am currently finishing up the very last bits of my Master's in Foreign Language teaching. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on Facebook at My Nihongo Lessons. My Nihongo Lessons is open to everybody, so I hope that you'll find me there, and you can send me a message as well if you have any other questions. So good luck with your plans.